Over 60 and easily constipated? This canned food helps relieve constipation and softens stool fast. You could be drinking 8 glasses of water every day, eating what you think is healthy, and still be constipated. And the reason has nothing to do with how much you drink. Most people over 60 are missing one specific thing from their diet that keeps the bowel moving, and no one is talking about it. The good news is, it's not a supplement, it's not a prescription, and you don't need to cook anything. It's sitting right now on your grocery shelf inside simple canned foods most people walk past every single day. In this video, you're going to discover the 3 best canned foods that help relieve constipation and soften stool fast, especially for adults over 60. I will also reveal 2 common canned foods that actually cause constipation, and you'll be shocked how many people over 60 eat these daily thinking they're healthy. I'm saving the best one for last, so make sure you watch all the way through. Take a second to subscribe if you haven't already. Then let's jump right in. Number 1, canned chickpeas. Canned chickpeas are one of the simplest practical ways to tackle constipation in seniors, and the reason comes down to one key thing, which is fiber. Not just some fiber, but the kind that actually works with an aging digestive system. As we get older, our digestive system naturally slows down. The muscles in the intestines don't contract as strongly as they used to, which means waste moves more slowly through the gut. On top of that, many seniors don't get enough fiber daily, either because of reduced appetite, dietary restrictions, or convenience. The result is hard, dry stools that are difficult to pass. This is exactly where canned chickpeas step in. According to nutritionists, a single cup of canned chickpeas contains around 10 to 12 g of dietary fiber, which is a significant portion of the daily fiber requirement for older adults. But what makes chickpeas especially effective is the type of fiber they contain. Chickpeas contain a balanced mix of soluble and insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is the part that adds bulk to your stool. Without enough bulk, the intestines don't get the signal to move things along. This is one of the main reasons constipation happens in seniors, because there's simply not enough volume in the stool to trigger movement. Chickpeas solve that by increasing stool size naturally. Then you have soluble fiber, which works differently. This type absorbs water and forms a soft, gel-like substance in the gut. That gel helps soften the stool, making it easier and less painful to pass. For seniors who often deal with dry or hard stool, soluble fiber is a big deal. It reduces straining, which is important because excessive straining can lead to complications like hemorrhoids. That's not all. According to UCLA Health, foods that contain soluble fiber can slow down your body's absorption of sugar. This helps you avoid sudden spikes in blood sugar that can happen when you eat something that's very sweet. Soluble fiber can not only help you maintain healthier blood sugar levels if you have diabetes, it can also help lower your risk of developing the condition. So when you eat canned chickpeas, you're getting both effects at the same time, bulk and softness. That combination is what makes bowel movements smoother and more regular. But there's another layer that often gets overlooked. Chickpeas also act as a prebiotic. This means they feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut. These bacteria break down certain fibers in chickpeas and produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds help stimulate the movement of your intestines and help your gut do its job properly. This is especially important for seniors because gut activity tends to become sluggish over time. By feeding those good bacteria, chickpeas help restore a more active, responsive digestive system. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition in 2007 found that individuals who included chickpeas in their daily diet experienced improved bowel function, including more regular and easier bowel movements. Another study in appetite reported better digestive comfort and stool consistency among participants who consumed chickpeas regularly. More broadly, clinical reviews on elderly nutrition consistently show that increasing dietary fiber intake leads to more frequent bowel movements, softer stools, and reduced dependence on laxatives. Chickpeas fit perfectly into this recommendation because they deliver fiber in a natural food-based form that's easy to incorporate into daily meals. The next question is, why canned chickpeas specifically? Canned chickpeas are already pre-cooked, soft, and ready to eat. For seniors, especially those who may not want to spend time soaking and cooking dried legumes, this makes a huge difference. The softer texture also makes them easier to chew and digest. They can be added to rice, stirred into soups, or simply mashed and eaten with a bit of seasoning. Fiber needs water to work properly. Without enough fluid, fiber can actually make constipation worse by making stool even harder. So when increasing chickpea intake, it's important to also increase water intake to 6 to 8 glasses a day unless otherwise advised. It's also best to start with a small portion first, because jumping straight into large quantities can cause bloating or gas. Start your morning by warming drained and rinsed chickpeas in a pan with diced tomatoes and a handful of spinach. Season with cumin, black pepper, and a pinch of salt. Then serve alongside 2 scrambled eggs and a slice of whole grain toast for a fiber-rich breakfast that gets your gut moving from the very first meal. For lunch, toss chickpeas with chopped cucumber, cherry tomatoes, red onion, and a drizzle of olive oil and lemon juice. Serve over mixed greens or with a slice of whole grain pita for a light, refreshing meal that keeps your digestive system fed and active through the afternoon. To end your day, stir chickpeas into a simple vegetable soup with carrots, celery, onions, and low-sodium broth. Let it simmer for 10 minutes, adjust seasoning, and serve warm. It's easy to prepare, easy to digest, and gives your gut the fiber it needs to work overnight while you rest. Chickpeas are excellent for adding bulk and stimulating gut movement, but they don't contain the one compound that draws water directly into the intestines to soften stool from the inside. The next canned food does, and it works in a completely different way. Make sure to add it to your diet, as well as chickpeas alone are not enough. Number 2, canned lentils. Canned lentils are one of those foods that don't look appetizing, but when it comes to constipation, especially in seniors, they do exactly what the body needs. As the body ages, digestion doesn't just slow down, it becomes less efficient. The intestines don't contract as strongly, and the time it takes for food to move through the system increases. When that happens, too much water gets absorbed from waste in the colon, leaving stool dry, compact, and difficult to pass. That's the root of constipation in many older adults. Now, this is where canned lentils come in, not just because they contain fiber, but because of how their fiber behaves inside the body. A cup of canned lentils delivers roughly 12 to 15 g of dietary fiber, which is already a strong contribution. But more importantly, lentils are rich in soluble fiber and fermentable carbohydrates, along with a meaningful amount of insoluble fiber. This specific mix is what makes them particularly effective. The soluble fiber in lentils starts working almost immediately in the digestive tract. It absorbs water and forms a soft, gel-like consistency that helps keep stool moist and smooth as it moves through the intestines. So rather than trying to fix hard stool at the end of the process, lentils help prevent that dryness from happening in the first place. But lentils don't stop there. What really sets them apart is their fermentable fiber and resistant starch. These components travel to the large intestine without being fully digested. Once there, they become food for beneficial gut bacteria. As these bacteria break down the fiber, they produce substances that stimulate the lining of the colon. This is especially useful for seniors because one of the biggest issues isn't just stool consistency, it is a lack of movement. The system becomes sluggish. Lentils help gently reactivate that natural motion without forcing it. Lentils are soft and already broken down, especially in canned form, making them easier on the digestive system. Although some high-fiber foods can feel rough or heavy, lentils tend to be smoother and more manageable. That makes them a better fit for older adults who may have sensitive digestion or reduced chewing ability. Now let's talk about consistency, because that's where the real results come from. Constipation isn't usually solved by a one-time fix. It's about creating the pattern your body can rely on. Canned lentils make that easier because they are convenient. No soaking, no long cooking time. You open the can, rinse them, and they're ready. That ease matters more than people think. When something is simple, you're more likely to stick with it. And when you stick with it, your body starts to adjust. Over time, regular intake of lentils helps the digestive system develop a pattern. Stool becomes softer, movement becomes more predictable, and the need for straining reduces. There is also strong support for this from nutritional research. Studies on legume consumption, including lentils, have shown improvements in bowel frequency, stool consistency, and overall gut health. In elderly populations, increasing intake of fermentable fiber has been linked to better digestive comfort and reduced reliance on stimulant laxatives. That's important because long-term use of harsh laxatives can sometimes make the gut less responsive over time. Lentils, on the other hand, support the system instead of overriding it. To enjoy canned lentils, start your morning by warming canned lentils in a small pot with diced onions, a pinch of turmeric, and low-sodium vegetable broth. Serve alongside a boiled egg and a slice of whole grain bread for a simple, filling breakfast that gives your gut a strong fiber foundation first thing in the morning. For lunch, mix rinsed canned lentils with chopped tomatoes, cucumber, red onion, fresh parsley, and a squeeze of lemon. Drizzle with olive oil, season with salt and cumin, and serve over brown rice or with whole grain crackers for a light but fiber-dense midday meal that keeps your digestion active. End your day with a warm lentil and vegetable stew by combining canned lentils with diced carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, and low-sodium broth in a pot. Simmer for 15 minutes, season with garlic and black pepper, and serve as a complete dinner that works through the night to keep stool soft and bowel movement steady by morning. Chickpeas and lentils are great sources of fiber, but they are still not enough. They do not pull water into the intestines as much as the next food I want to talk about. Number 3, canned pears. Constipation. In later life usually does not happen for one reason. It builds slowly over time as the gut becomes less active, water intake becomes inconsistent, movement reduces, and some medications slow down digestion. Inside canned pears, there are two important natural components that matter most for bowel movement. One is dietary fiber, especially a type called pectin. The other is a natural sugar alcohol known as sorbitol. Even after the pear is cooked and preserved, these two components remain active enough to influence digestion. When both of these work together, the result is not a sudden or harsh reaction. It is a gradual improvement in stool consistency and movement. That is one of the reasons canned pears tend to feel easier on the body compared to strong laxatives that force the bowel into action. On top of that, daily routines may include medications that affect bowel movement. In that situation, the goal is not to shock the system, but to encourage a more natural rhythm again. Canned pears support that rhythm because they bring both moisture and fiber into the digestive tract in one simple food. The softness of canned fruit also makes it easier to chew and digest, which can be helpful for older adults who may struggle with harder, fresh fruits. The liquid that often comes with canned pears also contributes extra hydration, which supports the softening effect in the bowel. When eaten, canned pears pass into the digestive system and begin to work gradually. The pectin fiber holds water inside the stool while it moves through the colon. The sorbitol increases the amount of water drawn into the intestines. This combination helps the stool become softer, bulkier, and easier to pass. As the stool becomes easier to move, the intestines do not need to strain as much, which reduces discomfort during bowel movements. Over time, with consistent intake, the bowel starts to respond more regularly. It is not an instant reaction, but a steady support effect. Research in nutrition and clinical studies found that pears improved the frequency of stool and made it softer. A 2019 study published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology found that daily pear consumption significantly improved stool frequency and consistency in adults with functional constipation, with participants reporting less straining and greater digestive comfort within 3 weeks. Even though most studies focus on fresh pears, the same compounds are also present in canned versions, which is why they still provide the same benefits. What makes canned pears especially practical is how easy they are to work into everyday meals. They do not require preparation, cooking, or special planning. They can be eaten with breakfast, after meals, or as a light snack. For older adults who may not have strong appetites, this ease of use is important because consistency is what helps the digestive system adjust. The best results usually come from taking small, steady portions rather than large amounts at once. The body responds better when it receives a small, regular supply of fiber and water from food. When canned pears are eaten daily in moderate portions, they begin to create a more predictable pattern in the bowel. That predictability is what helps reduce constipation over time. It is important to stay within reasonable amounts because too much sorbitol can sometimes lead to gas or loose stool. The balance is what makes it effective. A steady, moderate intake works better than trying to overuse it for quick results. Start your morning by spooning canned pears over a bowl of plain oatmeal cooked with low-fat milk or water. Add a sprinkle of ground flaxseed and a pinch of cinnamon for extra fiber that works alongside the pectin and sorbitol in the pears to keep stool soft throughout the day. For lunch, serve canned pears alongside a simple salad of mixed greens, walnuts, and crumbled feta cheese dressed with olive oil and lemon juice. The combination of fiber from the greens and the sorbitol from the pears gives your digestive system consistent support through the middle of the day. End your day by warming canned pears in a small pot with a pinch of ginger and a drizzle of honey. Serve warm alongside plain Greek yogurt for a light, easy to digest dinner that introduces beneficial bacteria alongside the pear's natural stool softening compounds, supporting overnight bowel activity. Now, these three canned foods will do a great deal for your digestive health, but here's what most people miss. Not every canned option supports your gut. Some actually make constipation worse. So before we wrap up, let's talk about the two canned foods you need to stop eating if you're serious about getting relief. Number one is canned tuna. Canned tuna is one of those foods that looks harmless on the surface, especially for adults over 60. But when you break down what it actually does inside the digestive system, it becomes clear why it contributes to constipation when it shows up too often in meals. The main issue starts with what canned tuna contains and what it does not contain. It is high in protein, very low in fat, depending on the type, and completely lacking in dietary fiber. Fiber is the part of food that helps stool form properly and move through the intestines. Without it, the digestive system is left with material that does not add bulk or softness to stool. Clinical nutritionists found that low fiber intake is one of the strongest dietary drivers of hard stool and slow bowel movement, especially in older adults whose gut motility is already reduced. Systematic reviews on dietary fiber in elderly constipation show that fiber intake supports stool bulk and improves transit through the colon, which reduces straining and discomfort during bowel movements. Even though results can vary depending on the type of fiber and individual health status, when you apply that to canned tuna, it becomes easy to see the gap. Tuna does not provide any of the material the bowel needs to push waste along smoothly. Instead, it often replaces meals that could have contained vegetables, whole grains, or fruits, which are the real sources of fiber. That replacement effect is one of the reasons constipation becomes more common in people who rely heavily on canned protein foods as they get older. Another factor is how digestion slows when meals are heavily protein-based without enough fiber or water. Protein takes longer to break down compared to carbohydrates, and when it is not balanced with fiber, the movement of food through the intestines can become slower. Research on nutrition and gut transit suggests that low-fiber diets reduce stool bulk and slow intestinal movement, which increases the chance of hard, dry stool forming over time. In older adults, this effect is stronger because the natural rhythm of the colon is already less active with age. Canned tuna also tends to be low in moisture compared to other foods. Even though it is packed in water or oil, the overall meal composition often ends up dry when it is eaten with crackers, white bread, or simple starchy sides that also lack fiber. Medical nutrition sources explain that hydration inside the digestive system is just as important as fiber, because water is what keeps stool soft and easy to pass. When both fiber and adequate fluid are missing from the overall diet pattern, constipation becomes more likely, especially in people over 60 who may not drink enough water consistently during the day. Number two is canned milk. Canned milk products like evaporated milk and sweetened condensed milk contain almost no fiber at all. Fiber is the part of food that helps stool form properly, hold water, and move through the intestines. Without it, stool becomes more compact and slower to pass. When canned milk replaces more fiber-rich foods, the effect becomes more noticeable. Many adults over 60 use it in tea, coffee, cereal, or porridge. And over time, it quietly displaces fruits, vegetables, and whole grains that are needed for healthy bowel movement. This is where the problem builds slowly rather than suddenly. The gut is not getting enough material that helps it move waste along, so stool spends more time in the colon. The longer stool stays in the colon, the more water is absorbed from it, and the harder it becomes to pass. There's another thing to keep in mind about dairy and bowel movement. Studies on constipation and dairy don't all agree. But in some people, especially those who already don't eat enough fiber, higher dairy intake has been linked with constipation symptoms. A 2021 study in a peer-reviewed nutrition journal found a connection between dairy eating patterns and constipation in parts of the population, which shows that it depends on the overall diet, not dairy alone. When it comes to canned milk, the effect can be stronger because of how concentrated it is. Canned milk does not provide fiber. It does not support stool hydration. It does not help gut movement. So, when it becomes frequent without balance, the digestive system gradually shifts towards slower and harder bowel patterns. For adults over 60, the most helpful adjustment is balance rather than elimination. Canned milk needs to sit alongside fiber-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, so that the gut has enough material to keep stool soft and moving. Without that balance, constipation becomes more likely over time, not because of one food alone, but because of the pattern it creates in the digestive system. I've worked with seniors who struggled with constipation for years, trying everything from laxatives to fiber supplements without ever getting lasting relief. One of them stands out. Dorothy, 61, a retired school administrator, came to me after years of relying on over-the-counter laxatives just to have a bowel movement every few days. She was bloated, uncomfortable, and had started avoiding social outings because of the unpredictability of her digestion. Her diet was mostly canned tuna, white rice, and tea with condensed milk. Very convenient, but almost completely fiber-free. The fix was for her to remove the canned tuna as a daily staple, replace the condensed milk with whole food options, and introduce canned chickpeas, lentils, and pears into their daily meals consistently. Within 2 weeks, Dorothy had her first natural bowel movement without laxatives in over 3 years. At the 3-month mark, she reported having regular, comfortable bowel movements daily. She said, "I didn't think food alone could do this. I thought I just had a slow gut for life." That result did not come from a supplement or medical procedure. It came from consistent, simple dietary changes using foods that are already available in every grocery store. If you're tired of struggling in the bathroom, dealing with hard stools, bloating, and discomfort, you need my brand new ebook, 100 plus high-fiber natural laxative recipes to help you relieve constipation and soften stool. This isn't just another recipe collection. These are 100 plus powerful, natural recipes designed to load your body with fiber, hydration, and gut-loving nutrients your digestive system is craving right now. Now tell me, which of these 3 canned foods are you adding to your grocery list this week? Canned chickpeas, canned lentils, or canned pears? Drop your answer in the comments below. And don't go anywhere because next, I'm revealing everything about nuts rich in fiber that help relieve constipation fast. Hit that subscribe button right now so you're notified the second it drops.